Now the fourth one is double displacement reaction. Now we are clearly seeing here that sodium sulfate reacts with barium chloride to give barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Now here sodium gets combined with chlorine and barium gets combined with sulfate and it becomes BaSO4 barium sulfate and 2NaCl sodium chloride. Now here barium sulfate is in the form of precipitate. So a white substance which is insoluble in water is formed, that we tell here precipitate. This insoluble substance formed is known as precipitate, and in any reaction that produces a precipitate can be called a precipitation reaction. Okay, my dear students. So here we have seen the formation of precipitate. Now we will see here that few things we had observed for chemical reaction to happen, and all those are marked. Change in state we have seen, change in color, evolution of gas, change in temperature. We have to see as exothermic and endothermic. We all are very much concerned about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis as well as respiration. In case of respiration, what happens when we take our food? Then after the process of respiration starts. After taking food, we feel some heatness being released from our body. So when heatness is released in the atmosphere from our body, then it means exothermic reaction is taking place. And in case of endothermic, when heat is absorbed from the atmosphere, that is in case of photosynthesis. In case of photosynthesis, green plants in which their green leaves take the sunlight, take energy in the form of sunlight from the atmosphere. In that, heat is being taken from outside, that is endothermic. So you can clear your topic of photosynthesis and respiration, and thus by exothermic and endothermic. And the formation of precipitate we have seen in case of double displacement reaction. Here sodium sulfate reacts with barium chloride to give barium sulfate and sodium chloride. This one is the complete reaction. It is in the aqueous form, means mixed with liquid. It is also aqueous. Both liquids combine together to form a solid precipitate of barium sulfate as for solid, and sodium chloride being an aqueous solution like these two. Here we can see the change in state. Here we have seen change in color. Here we have seen formation of precipitate. Now this is also can be tell as the example of precipitation reaction, and it also comes under the category of double displacement reaction. Why it is said to be double? Because it is double displacement reaction. Why we tell that it is double displacement? Because two things have displaced. What are they? Sodium reacts with chlorine and forms sodium chloride, whereas barium reacts with sulfate to form barium sulfate. Two things have displaced from their positions, and in previous reaction only one thing was getting displaced, that is Cu was getting displaced and Fe occupies its position. So it was single displacement, or say simply displacement reaction. But in case of double displacement, two things are getting displaced, sodium getting combined with chlorine and barium getting combined with sulfate. So this is the example of double displacement reaction. In this reaction there is transfer of ions. Na plus combines with Cl minus and form NaCl, and Ba plus 2 charge react with SO4 2 minus charge to give BaSO4, and it is the precipitate. And when there happens a formation of precipitate in any reaction, it comes under the category of precipitation reaction. So these are the four types of reaction. I would like to conclude once again. The first one was combination reaction. The second one was decomposition reaction. These two are opposite of themselves. Now displacement reaction. It can also be termed as single displacement reaction, as only one thing is getting displaced. And in case of double displacement reaction, two things are getting displaced, as you all have seen. So note all these, getting my video paused, and note all these things in your copies so that you can make your proper notes and study from it. And also consult your NCERT book or any side book you are having for extra knowledge and solve their exercises. And in case of any difficulty, you are free to ask whenever you want. Now there are two other types of reactions, as oxidation and reduction reaction. Now in this we have to focus on the first two letters of oxidation reaction and the first three alphabets of reduction reaction. These three letters and these two letters combine to form redox. When oxidation and reduction both happens in a single reaction, then the reaction is said to be redox reaction. Now at first we have to see what is oxidation and what is reduction reaction. Now see here. Take this example. When copper reacts with oxygen, what I have written here 2, here also 2, these are all for balancing the equation. We will discuss it further. Now when copper reacts with oxygen in the presence of heat, heat is required in most of the reactions. So it is always written in many reactions on the top of the arrow. Now this one is reactant and this one is product, as we have seen earlier. When copper reacts with oxygen, it forms copper oxide. What happens to copper? No oxygen was here, but after reacting with it, now copper is having its own oxygen. This is known as oxidation reaction. Means when any substance gains oxygen, what I have said, when any substance gain oxygen, it is said to be oxidation reaction. But see next example, what happens here. Copper oxide, when reacts with hydrogen, on heating it gives copper and water. Means copper was having oxygen previously, but after getting reacted with hydrogen, this oxygen is not present here. Only copper is here in the product. So copper oxide is getting reduced to form copper. So here we have seen that when oxygen combines, it is oxidation reaction, and when oxygen is getting reduced or is getting eliminated in the product, then here reduction happens. Hydrogen is gaining oxygen here, that's why hydrogen is getting oxidized and become water. So this is oxidation reaction and this one is reduction reaction, but both happening in the same reaction. This reaction is termed as redox reaction. Red stands for reduction and ox stands for oxidation. Now the brief summary of oxidation reduction. Oxidation means whenever a substance gain oxygen, it is said to be oxidation, and the substance that is getting its oxygen to be lose, reduction happens there. But in case of hydrogen, when there is loss of hydrogen, it is termed under oxidation, and when there is gain of hydrogen, we consider it as reduction. It means oxygen and hydrogen are having their opposite nature. Gain of oxygen was termed as oxidation and loss of oxygen was termed as reduction. While in case of hydrogen, loss of hydrogen is termed as oxidation and gain of hydrogen is termed as reduction. Okay, my dear students. Now when it comes to oxidation reaction, now I would like to repeat once again that you have to solve some questions from exercise to get it confirmed that you have understand to identify whether a substance is getting oxidized or reduced. Now we are going forward to the next topic, that is the effects of oxidation and reductions in daily. Now some effects of Oxidation reactions in our daily life are corrosion and rancidity. These two topics we have to read. And before going to these topics, I would like to discuss something that we must have often observed that iron particles are shiny when new. But what happens when it is left for some time? Answer, students. What happens when it is left for some time? It is coated with a reddish brown powder. In Hindi we usually tell that jung lag gaya hai. So that jung is rust, and you are seeing in front of your mobile that corrosion stands for degradation in the quality of metals. That is, when iron is getting combined with oxygen, it means oxidation happens here in the presence of moisture, nami. When iron reacts with oxygen, it gets oxidized and form ferric oxide, hydrated ferric oxide, what you are seeing here as Fe2O3. Now it comes under the category of the degradation of the metal iron. Similarly, in the same way, the black coating on silver and the green coating on copper are some other examples of corrosion. Now we have understand that oxidation reaction is as much helpful for us, is also the reason for the degradation in the quality of metals. In case of iron, it is termed as rusting, and in case of other metals, we tell it usually corrosion. Now the next topic is rancidity. You are seeing here that oxidation of fats and oil present in the food. We all know that most of the foods contains fats and oils inside it. So when that food is getting oxidized, means the food that is containing fats and oils is getting oxidized, taste and smell of the food changes, and that change gives a very foul smell and a very bad taste. So we usually say that the food becomes rancid. Rancid means it is giving a very foul remark. Now there are some preventive measures also by which we can prevent our food products from getting it rancid. The first one is refrigeration of food. When food is being kept in refrigerator, it can be preserved for a longer period of time. Then the chips that is usually being fried in our homes, within an hour it gets rancid. But what happens to those chips which are being kept in the packet 6 months before, and we are eating this time and is in the right form? Because that manufacturer company has flushed it with nitrogen gas. Now nitrogen gas, what does here? Nitrogen gas keeps other gases away, keeps the packet of the chips away from oxygen, and when oxygen will not react with chips, it will not get rancid. Now at last, the keeping food in airtight containers. When food will be kept in airtight containers, air will not enter inside the bag or plastic, and in this way the food is being prevented from being rancid. I hope you all have understand these two topics, that is the degradation in the quality of metals and degradation in the quality of foods containing fats and oils. These two comes under the category of oxidation reaction in daily life, which is harmful for us. Now students, we are towards the last topic of this chapter, that is balancing a chemical equation, and it is very important topic because in board exam one question or two questions from this topic always comes. Balancing a chemical equation. Now at first recall the law of conservation of mass. law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass is what you have studied in class 9th, that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. If mass can neither be created nor be destroyed, then what much iron is present in the reactant, that must be present in product. But here is only one atom of iron. Nothing is written here, means only one atom is present, and here we are seeing the 3 atoms of iron. Here see 2 atoms of hydrogen, here 2 atoms of hydrogen, it is already balanced. 1 atom of oxygen, nothing is written here, means oxygen is single atom, but here 4 atoms of oxygen. So we are seeing here that iron and oxygen are not balanced, so we have to balance it. If we are considering that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed, then what much we have taken before reaction in reactant, that must be present after the reaction in the product. So what we will do here, at first we will see of which elements number of atom is maximum or greater. Here we see oxygen is present in the larger proportions. Here 4 atoms of oxygens are present. So first we will balance the number of oxygen on both sides. Now to balance the oxygen atoms in reactant, initially we have 1 oxygen, and in product we have 4 atoms of oxygen. So to balance it, multiply with 4 in the reactant. In the reactant, multiply with 4 here. We can't add atoms, we always add molecule. So we will write here 4 here. So when it comes down, you are seeing here 4H2O. Now oxygen has been balanced. Oxygen O4, and here oxygen is present 4. Now we have to balance iron. Moving forward, to equalize the number of atoms of hydrogen. Hydrogen, because here hydrogen becomes 8. Now in this reaction, the larger proportion is of hydrogen, 8. So initially in reactant, in 4H2O, 4 2s are 8. 8 atoms of hydrogen are present. In case of products, only 2 atoms of hydrogen are present. So to balance it, we have to multiply with 4 to 8. 4 multiplied by 2, it will give 8. So 4, after getting multiplied by 4, this H2 will get multiplied by 4, because we are multiplying 4 in product. So the equation becomes Fe plus 4H2O will give Fe3O4. It was as like it is, and 4H2. Now hydrogen is 4 2s are 8. Hydrogen 4 2s are 8. Oxygen here 4. Oxygen is present here 4. Now in the same way, to equalize the number of atoms of iron, multiply by 3 in iron, because in product 3 atoms of iron are present. In case of reactant, only 1 atom of iron is present. So multiply it with 3. So after getting multiplied by 3, 3Fe plus 4H2O gives Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Now it is a balanced equation. You can see also, students, 3 atoms of iron, 3 atoms of iron, 4 2s are 8 atoms of hydrogen, 4 2s are 8 atoms of hydrogen, 4 atoms of oxygen, 4 atoms of oxygen. Now this is a balanced equation because it holds the law good, law of conservation of mass. So students, we have completed our first chapter, that is chemical reaction and equation. Hope you all have understand and study properly at homes, so that there must not be a single complaint to me. Thank you and have a nice day. Study well. Chapter number 1 gets the notes completed and solve your exercise as soon as possible. Thank you.